There was silence for a moment. Rusty was sure they must be able to hear his heart pulsing and smell his fear scent. In the screaming center of the water calling rose from her. Where does it come from? Which clan should it belong to? What strange sound it is not the sound of any clan I know. Then one grounded picture cure sounded of a look at the color. It's a kitty pet. It was built to be once a kitty pet, always a kitty pet. This clan is way more warrior that invented than the soft mouse to feed. Long hair bent down and hissed to Rusty ears. That tabby is Long Tower. He smells your fear. They all do. You must perfume the other clan catch you fear it. You hold it back. But Rusty couldn't move. His head proved that the fear catch you feel just a kitty pet. The tabby continued to urine. Her colors met off the two legs and enjoy the children make you poor hunter the best. At worst, I'll bring the two legs in the territory, looking for the poor little kitty pet who filled the woods with a visible tinkling. All the cats howled in agreement. Longtail went on. But Era and the suburban ideas. The noise of your treasure belt is larger and animated when your two legs that doesn't. Lying hissed and Rusty-ish once more. Do you back down a challenge? Rusty still did not move. His time was trying to pinpoint Rusty's Longtail's position. There he was, just behind the dark bright king. Rusty flattened his ear, narrowed his eyes, and his leaped through the thunder clouds to fling his sudden tornado. Longtail will come from a part to Rusty's attack. Instead of flying by losing foot of the whole earth. Silver Raisin disappeared to prove himself. Rusty dug it, caught the tabby, and sang in the teeth. Nerve trembled, the throat stripping and boxing pretends to fight. The two cats were locked in a scream, within the thought of the afflicted somewhat and clearing at the heart of the camp. The other cats have to spring out the way to avoid the scorching moonlight of fur. The Rusty's question scolded was certain aware who felt fear. All excretions. Through the roaring of their blood in his ears, you could hear the cats around the wailing in silence. The Rusty fully collared tightened around the neck. Longtail looked a bit between its teeth was tingling, and tingling hard. Rusty felt terrible pressure in his thoughts. Unbearable breath, he started to panic. Rusty got twist, but knew in which man the pressure force. Reaching and gripping for air, he started off this grip and tried to pull away the Longtail's grip. Suddenly, with a loud stop, he was free. Longtail tumbled away from him. Rusty scrambled his paws and looked around. Longtail was crouching 3 lengths away. And dangling from Longtail's mouth, Rusty's eyes colored, mingled, and broken. At once, Bluster leaped down the high rock and silently nosy crowd with the thunderous water tool. Rusty and Longtail remained fixed the spot, gasping for breath. Clumps of fur hung from the ruffled coats. Rusty could feel the ear sneezing above his eye. Longtail's left ear was badly torn and blue and dribbled the living shadows on the dusty ground. They stared at each other. The hospital was not shut. Bluster stepped forward into the cusp of the Longtail. He placed on the ground in front of me out. A newcomer lost his toe legs caught in the best for his honor. Star Clan is back on arrival. The cat had been realized with the whole of the true leg owners, and is free to join Thunder Clan as an apprentice. First look at Bluster and solemnly nodded acceptance. He stood up and stepped forward in the pool of light place sprayed in the orange path. Making a fur glow, Rusty sniffed the head proudly and looked at the cats around him. There was no cat or gator group. He had shown himself to the worst opponent in battle. Bluster pushed the Rusty and smashed the shattered collar into the ground in front of him. He touched the ear gently with her nose. You look like you blend the fire in the sunlight, she murmured, her eyes bright brightly. That word was turned to Clan. From the Savior, you're around his warrior name. Warrior name. The Secretariat will be called Fireball in the honor of the flame-colored coat. Just step back, and the other cats will sadly of the next move. Without hesitating, As Standing and Rush turned and they clicked a dust breath over his collar as a burying him in dirt. Longtail grunted and looked clean through the collar. Cat spit the group and murmured, "Hey, Firepaw!" Rusty heard Grandpa's friendly voice band. Firepaw, a thread of pride and sugar down the send a new name. He heard the great up the terrace with a walk in his mouth. "Great Firepaw!" meowed Grandpa. "Exactly for a kitty bat. Longtail is a warrior. Although you finished your training 2 months ago, your skull left the years and won't let it forget in your hurry. You spotted good licks, that's for sure." "Thanks, Grandpa," Firepaw replied. He put up quite a fight, though. He licked the front butt and began to wipe the claim that scratched the elbow to side. As he washed his ears, a new name again, echoing the meows of the cat. "Firepaw, hey Firepaw, welcome, young Firepaw." Firepaw closed his eyes for a moment and let the boys wash over him. "Good name, too," Firepaw meowed, eventually jolting him awake. This is looking. "Where's the Longtail?" Grandpa too. "I think it's happening through the spotted leaf. Then Riverland and corner and Longtail disappeared. Here's our medicine cat, not the bad looking. He's younger and a lot prettier than most. A young yellow two-cat stuffed Grandpa immediately. He both turned and Firepaw recognized the powerful great tabby cat who was spending Grandpa's earlier. "Dirk Stripe," meowed Grandpa, dipping his head respectfully. The sleek of Tom looked at Firepaw and laughed. "Lucky your collar snuffed when you're dead. Longtail is the long warrior." He committed being bitten by a kitty cat. His feather worked kitty cat certainly, and his turn stacks up. "Now, Dirk Stripe," replied Firepaw. "He's neither young nor pretty." Firepaw agreed, and new friend when he observed the water yellow, great cat standing at "Small here smells trouble." Grandpa meowed, immediately alert. Firepaw barely had to look around behind a young crash cracked the bushes of the camp. He was gonna in the yard, a prayer for the lawn. Staying low, chuckle. Grandpa gasped. "That's Rainbow. What's so low? Where's Turtle Claw?" Firepaw looked at Rainbow staring out of the floor and clearing, and pacing heavily, his coat ruffled and dusty, his eye wild fear. "Who are Ravenpaw and Tiger Claw?" Firepaw whispered to Grandpa. Some other cats raced back to greet the new aerial boat. "Rushed in and Pateras. Tiger Claw is mentor," Grandpa explained quickly. Ravenpaw went down to Tiger Claw and ripped those Sunrise, Michigan River Clan. "Lucky Furball!" Firepaw gets pretty confused all this name. "Booster Deputy," hissed Grandpa. "But why on earth had Ravenpaw come back alone?" He had to himself who lived in a blue star step for "Ravenpaw?" His eye cat spoke calmly. They looked at worried color of blue eyes. Other cats drew back, cleaning their west lip exer. "What happened?" The search on the high rock and holding table. "Speak! Ravenpaw!" Ravenpaw stirring from birds. He decided to have it written with the dust around it red. "Blood." Still imagined to scramble out in the high rock beside Booster. He tried to cry in anger. I surrendered his echo burst with it. "Red Tail is dead!"